What happens to the Sith when the most powerful Dark Lord in galactic history finally dies? For real? Not falls. Not vanishes in a flash of lightning. Actually dies with no backup body waiting in a vat and no hidden throne beneath a cursed planet. Because when Palpatine is destroyed at the end of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars isn't just ending a villain. It's testing whether an ancient ideology built on fear, domination, and manipulation can survive without its greatest architect. And the answer, like most things Sith, is complicated. The Sith were never just one man. By the time Palpatine rules the galaxy, the Sith are no longer a public empire or an open religion. They are a system of survival. For 1,000 years before the films, Sith knowledge passes quietly from master to apprentice through the rule of two, ensuring secrecy, continuity, and constant evolution. Palpatine is not an isolated tyrant. He is the endpoint of a long Sith experiment. Eliminate rivals, infiltrate power structures, weaponize fear, and rule indirectly as much as directly. When the Jedi Order falls and the Republic collapses, it looks like the Sith have finally won. But Sith victory has never been about permanence. It's about control, however briefly. Death was never the endgame for Palpatine. When Palpatine is thrown into the Death Star reactor at the end of Return of the Jedi, the galaxy celebrates as if evil itself has been deleted. But Sith philosophy does not believe in endings. It believes in contingencies. That's why Palpatine leaves behind plans that activate after his death. Not to save the Empire, but to punish it for failing him. This thinking produces Operation Cinder, a campaign designed to burn loyal and disloyal worlds alike. From a Sith perspective, this makes perfect sense. An empire that cannot protect its master does not deserve to survive. This moment matters because it shows the Sith mindset continuing even in absence. Palpatine doesn't need to be alive to exert influence. His ideology has already been encoded into behavior. The Sith never left the board. While the galaxy rebuilds, argues, and slowly convinces itself that the nightmare is finally over, the Sith do what they have always done best. They disappear. Not in defeat, not in panic, but in calculation. History shows that the Sith are most dangerous when no one is actively looking for them. After the fall of the Empire, attention shifts to rebuilding governments, repairing worlds, and debating what kind of future should replace tyranny. That distraction is exactly the environment the Sith thrive in. On Exegol, an ancient Sith world buried deep in the unknown regions, Palpatine's legacy never truly pauses. Hidden from hyperspace routes and shielded by violent anomalies, Exegol is less a planet and more a vault, one designed to protect Sith power from time itself. Here the Sith Eternal operate in total secrecy, continuing the work of Palpatine long after the galaxy assumes he is gone. These are not Sith Lords with red blades and dramatic entrances. They are something quieter and arguably more dangerous. Believers. Entire generations are raised to worship Sith doctrine as absolute truth. They are taught that the galaxy is broken, that chaos proves weakness, and that only Sith rule can impose lasting order. They build fleets, maintain shipyards, and oversee cloning programs, not because they seek personal power, but because they believe power itself must be preserved. This is the great twist of the sequel era. The Sith were never defeated in spirit. They simply chose patience over visibility. The Final Order was a resurrection attempt, not a victory lap. When Palpatine returns, it is tempting to view it as a triumphant reveal, a villain stepping back onto the stage. In reality, it is a confession of desperation. His body is no longer his own. It is decayed, unstable, sustained by machinery, dark science, and rituals that blur the line between life and death. This is not a Sith at the height of his power. This is a Sith refusing to accept finality. The Final Order fleet hidden beneath Exegol is not a symbol of confidence. It is a last gamble. Hundreds of planet-killing Star Destroyers sit buried below the surface, waiting to rise and impose obedience through immediate terror. No political manipulation. No gradual corruption of institutions. Just raw fear, delivered at scale. It is the Sith philosophy stripped to its most honest form. But this plan exposes the flaw the Sith have never escaped. Everything depends on one figure at the center, one voice to command, one will to unify the machine. When Palpatine falls again, this time with no contingency left to activate, the structure collapses instantly. The Sith Eternal lose their master. The fleet loses its purpose. The Sith lose their throne not through rebellion, but through absence. Power centralized too perfectly becomes impossible to replace. The Sith lineage ends, but the dark side doesn't. In strict canonical terms, Palpatine's final defeat marks the end of the traditional Sith lineage. There is no apprentice waiting in the wings, no successor prepared to claim the title of Dark Lord. The rule of two, which sustained the Sith for a millennium, finally breaks, not because it was challenged, but because it ran out of candidates. This is unprecedented in Sith history. For the first time, the chain is not severed by betrayal, but by collapse. Yet the dark side of the Force does not belong to the Sith alone. It is not a copyrighted philosophy that dies with its last practitioner. Anger, fear, ambition, and the hunger for control still exist wherever sentient beings struggle with loss or insecurity. The Force itself does not vanish because one ideology collapses. What truly ends is organized Sith rule, the centralized doctrine, the titles, the hierarchy. What survives is temptation, and temptation requires no master, no order, and no ancient oath. It only requires someone willing to listen when the easy path whispers back. How the Sith outlive their own death. The Sith never trusted living successors to carry their legacy alone. They trusted objects. Knowledge was embedded into artifacts designed to survive centuries, holocrons that teach forbidden techniques, wayfinders that reveal paths to lost worlds, runes carved into blades and stone that encode secrets in plain sight. Sith knowledge was never meant to be fragile. It was meant to wait. Even Sith weapons function as lessons. They are maps, keys, and warnings disguised as tools of violence. A future dark side user does not need a living Sith Lord to begin the path. They only need curiosity, frustration, and a moment of resentment, strong enough to seek answers where others fear to look. This is why the Sith are never truly extinct. Their ideas are archived across the galaxy, scattered like intellectual landmines. Someone always finds them. Someone always believes they will be smarter, more disciplined, more humane. And the Sith have always counted on that arrogance to resurrect themselves without lifting a finger. Why the Sith always collapse from the inside? There is a reason the Sith never build lasting civilizations. Their core belief system is incompatible with stability. Power is meant to be seized, not shared. Apprentices are meant to overthrow masters. Trust is weakness. Palpatine temporarily overcomes this flaw by eliminating rivals and centralizing power entirely in himself. But that solution creates a single point of failure. When he dies, everything tied to him dies as well. In this sense, the Sith are victims of their own success. They perfected domination, then discovered no one was left who could replace them. After Exegol, when the dust settles, there is no Sith Empire waiting to rise again. There is no secret Dark Lord pulling strings behind the scenes. What remains are fragments, scattered cultists without direction, hidden artifacts without guardians. Darkside users with no doctrine, only instinct. The galaxy is safer but not cured, because Sith philosophy never required a Sith throne. It only required fear, resentment, and ambition. And those things regenerate faster than any fleet. The real legacy of the Sith. Palpatine believed the Sith were eternal. In a way, he was wrong. His order dies with him. But the habits the Sith cultivated, rule through fear, seek power without restraint, destroy rather than understand, continue to appear wherever societies feel threatened. That is the true fate of the Sith after Palpatine. Not extinction, not victory, but diffusion. The Sith stop being a single enemy you can point to, and become a recurring mistake the galaxy keeps making. And in Star Wars, that may be the most dangerous ending of all. If this video changed how you see the Sith and their true ending, like and subscribe. We dive deeper into the hidden stories, forgotten lore, and uncomfortable truths of the Star Wars galaxy every single week. And remember, the dark side doesn't need permission to return.